Red Star Belgrade, RB Leipzig 1-2 as RB Leipzig gets the second win against Red Star. 3-1 in the first match, 2-1 in the second match in Belgrade. Usually start from the top with the starting lineups. Not too many surprises in this one. Jean-Philippe Crasso started up top, which was not a surprise for many people as we thought that he was going to get the start in this match due to NDI's form in the last number of matches, not scoring many goals. And Kanga was a surprise, I think, in the midfield where we thought we usually see um, Marko Stamenic, who didn't play today, just was on the bench. Didn't need his defensive characteristics today after we were chasing goals late. Um, and Mihailovic at right back, which I will get to later on in this piece. First goal, 8-9 minutes in, Xavi Simons. Again, no one picks him up. Top of the box. Give him all the room in the world. Mihailovic, poor man marking on Simons. You would think that we would do more against him after the last match where he also scored a goal. We just clearly left him alone where he had his shot pick of wherever he wanted to shoot, and he executed beautifully for himself in Leipzig to go up 1-0. The pattern that you're starting to notice with this Red Star backline is we give the offensive players all the space that they need when they get into shooting range, and we dare them to shoot. And that's a very, very dangerous thing to do against some of the best teams in the world when you're playing in the Champions League. It's almost suicide at this point. You can't allow teams of Red Bull Leipzig's quality, Manchester City's quality, Young Boys' quality to have open shots from anywhere from 18 to 25 yards out. You can't do that. You're just making it harder for your goalkeeper, and you're banking on the fact that you're going to be able to block every shot because this is exactly what we try to do with every shot that the opposition takes. We try to block every single shot. We try to give the opposition as much room that they need to maneuver and to get a shot on goal, and that's something that you can't do. Second thing I'll talk about is Mihailovic at right back. The experiment needs to end. It should have ended after the match against, if you want to say Young Boys, I would even go far as back as Manchester City, which was the first match day, but I would say after Young Boys, the experiment should have ended. Offensively, he provides you with absolutely nothing. The one ball that he crossed in today's match, it was actually a shot on goal that the goalkeeper stopped and bobbled it and even tried to pounce on it, which the goalkeeper ended up stopping anyways. That's all that he provided us. Every touch that he had in today's match, first touch, get it out of his feet. As a kid growing up, you knew, and I played football from a young age, the kids who would receive the ball and get rid of it right away were the kids who had fear, who didn't want the ball in their feet. They're also the kids who their parents forced to play football, who maybe didn't have a choice. But this is a professional footballer doing this. And I'm not blaming Mihailovic for this. He can't play 7 different positions for us. He just can't do it. Center back or defensive mid is what he needs to play, not right back. He has no speed. He has no recovery speed. There were so many instances today where Kanga, of all players, had to cover for him at right back. RB Leipzig would push up players on Mihailovic's side. Mihailovic was nowhere to be seen. Every touch, like I said, every touch was up to the striker. Meanwhile, our strikers are Bukhari, who's probably 5'9", and Crasso, who's not really good with his head. So we're just giving the possession back to RB Leipzig and saying, here's the ball, create more chances. An experiment needs to stop. Mihailovic went off at halftime and Nedeljkovic came on. Also, Mihailovic picked up a yellow card very early on, and you're already playing a position you're not familiar with. You could easily be forced into another mistake, and then you're down to 10 men, and then you're going to lose by 4, 5, 6 goals. So experiment needs to stop. Nedeljkovic needs to be the right back heading into the rest of the season. Young player, 17 years old, nothing to lose. You can almost say we're not expecting much from him as a 17, 18-year-old. He's going to turn 18, I think, next week or something. And the kid it just has a better cross than Mihailovic. I think defensively he's better than Mihailovic, and that's no shade against Mihailovic. He just can't play 4 different positions for us. It's just you can't do it. You simply can't do it. And that's why I think Kosta Nedeljkovic needs to be the player that we look for the rest of the season. Before I get to the rest of the video, if you like the content, please subscribe to the page. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. The first half was dreadful. This is the worst half we played in the Champions League this year. The passing will absolutely kill you when they're either too long or too short or not to the man's feet to the other opposition where they can start on a counter attack. The man marking was poor. Rodic with a pass back. I assume it was supposed to be the Glazer, the goalkeeper, which he tripped. Openda took the ball. Luckily, Glazer was able to get out of goal, and one-on-one with Openda. Openda tried going right, and Glazer extended his hand and collected the ball. Thank God for that, because it could have been a lot worse. Also, something that went kind of unnoticed here was Glazer has to come off his line a lot more than he does. There's a few instances where the ball is 6, 7, 8 feet away from him, and the center backs have to get rid of it because he's not coming to collect. That needs to be fixed ASAP. Um, so our worst half for sure. We should have conceded more than one goal in the first half. We had one chance with the Mijalovic cross, and then there was another one with Bukhari. He was actually off the Openda chance where Bukhari was sent in alone on goal, which was later ruled it would have been an offside anyways. But just basically 2-on-1 with him and Bukhari and Ivanic, and Bukhari had decided to keep the ball, have a shot on goal, and he missed the entire net, and it would have been just a goal kick. So thank God it was ruled an offside, because that was rather embarrassing. Second half, you make 3 substitutions. You take off Mihailovic and you take off Kraso, and you put on NDI and Kosta Nedeljkovic. And this is where Red Star started to attack a little bit more. Much different when you're playing with a target man versus a false nine, which at times looked like Bukhari and Kraso were the 2 center forwards, which for me, I don't think that works very well. Kraso as a center forward is fine, but Bukhari as a center forward doesn't really work that well. And that's when Red Star starting to threaten a little. Leipzig picked up 3 yellow cards, I want to say, in a span of maybe 15, 20 minutes. 2 for sure were fouls on, I think there was 2 fouls on NDI and one was on Lucic. Lucic looked a lot better in the second half than he did in the first. You pick up 2 yellow cards, and now all of a sudden the entire back line, where 3 of the 4 in the back line have yellow cards. And now you're starting to threaten a little bit more. You start getting a little bit more chances. Red Star, and I could kind of compare them to Arsenal, another football club that I love, that I support. Arsenal for many years wanted to score the perfect goal. They wanted to walk the ball into the back of the net, which is something that Red Star tries to do way too much. It feels like every player's dominant foot is their most dominant foot, and they can't use whatever their off leg is, left, whatever the case may be. NDI had 2 or 3 chances in the 18-yard box where he had to get the ball on, I believe it was his left foot. And when you just need a shot on goal, because anything can happen, you have to do that. From 6, 7 yards out, you can't be choosy of where you want, which foot you want to take the ball with, what you want to do. Sometimes you have to just get a shot off, because you never know what's going to happen. And in the 80th minute, that's exactly what happened. Conga off a free kick that was about 25 yards out from the left side, just skied it in. It looks like apparently it did touch Hendricks, and it's an own goal. I don't think that he did. Anyways, if it didn't touch anyone, it just shows you that once you send a ball in, to be fair, the conditions started to pour in Belgrade, so the conditions were a little bit tougher. But anything can happen when you send a ball in. And that was the perfect free kick. And we started to pressure a little bit more. We started to generate a little bit more chances. Sorry, that was already at 2-1 at that point. So the second goal for RB Leipzig, sorry, I should track back a little bit, was Openda just coming down the left wing, getting Rodic to kind of bite on a fake, taking it on his right foot and slotting it beside Glazer. Now Rodic, I don't know how much I can blame him, but at some point when a player is running all the way to the almost the goal line, at some point he's gonna come back and he's gonna get you to bite on that. And that's Rodic bit on it, and Openda had no problem scoring the goal. Now leading up to that goal, Olainka had a chance to commit a foul at the halfway line, which is exactly what he should have done. He tried, but I don't think he could have caught the player. I think it was maybe Rome or someone. I can't remember right now. He tried to catch him, but he couldn't. And that's something that this is exactly why it's called a professional foul. You concede the foul versus conceding the goal, which you much rather concede the foul, right? Versus the goal. Didn't do that very well. They scored their second goal, and then the Conga thing happened. I gotta say, Conga was probably the player of the match to me for Red Star, considering he's a guy who hasn't played much this season in the Champions League or the domestic league. The domestic league more than the Champions League. But he came in and he brought his energy. He's still trying to do his thing where he tries to take on 3 different players within 20 yards of his own box. But that's something that we've kind of learned to live with. for the most part, apart from the back line closing down shots, I thought that the back line was okay. I think Dragic played well today. I think Giga, as the match went on, played a little bit better. Rodic was the only guy who I didn't think had that good of a game, um, to be completely honest with you. And like I said, Lucic was much better in the second half, where he tried to do some things with his ball and with his flair to kind of get off the defensive players. And yeah, it looked a lot more promising in the second half. But like Dragovic talking after the match, he says, "Listen, we have to stop with all the calculations and stuff. We deserve to lose today, and that's what you want from a captain. You have to say it how it is. This Champions League campaign hasn't been good. I keep going back to the young boys match where you have to get the 3 points at home, and yeah, it's been very tough. Left a better mark in the second half. I'll say that because it's almost impossible to have left a worse mark than what we did in the first half. But we have to equalize on our chances. For every 6 or 7 chances, we score 1 goal, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough to where teams like Leipzig and Manchester City can punish you, and that's something that we have to learn going forward. And that's the piece for today. Let me know what you thought about the match. Let me know any of the standouts, any tactical changes that you would make. I think it's interesting that we're already 3 months into the Barak Bakar experiment, and we're still experimenting with different formations in our best lineup. I think that's something that should have been done a long time ago. And it feels like we're always 3 steps behind our opposition and what we do in the Champions League. But that's just me.